What is up, people? Welcome to Geek Alley Gaming and another way too late review. I got with me Shadowfox.
Hey, what's going on?
All right, now the game that we're reviewing today is Xenoblade Chronicles X. It came out on the Wii U on December, I think it was 4th, 2015, I think was the date. So
Yep.
this qualifies for a way too late review. So it was on the Wii U, of course, and used the gamepad in a lot of good, interesting ways, which for the life of me, I can't understand why people were complaining about that. But that being said, I digress. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and why in the world we couldn't make a Voltron scale. So, starting this off, I'm going to let Shadowfox talk about the good because he has a lot of good for this.
Yeah, we're gonna this. I'm hoping this review isn't too in depth, but I'm gonna just for the sake of as for the sake of argument and for detail, I'm loading the game up as we speak, so we can make sure that we cover everything that needs to be covered about this game. So, I guess we shall begin.
Yeah.
So first off, the game is big. Heard some people complaining about some games and saying that they needed a little bit more gameplay, a little bit more depth akin to stuff like Skyrim and Fallout and The Witcher, and constantly being inundated with things to do. This game solves that and some more. I am currently at the 456th hour of this current campaign. So take that as you will, but I don't see that as a detriment. That just kind of, to me, it's a testament to the game having way more layers the more you play it. So it's a giant, massive world with tons of things to do and tons of places to explore, different viewpoints, aka vistas, as coined by the Nintendo team. Yeah, just lots of different stuff. So I would definitely say that even at 456 hours, I still have not seen every nook and cranny of this game, and that should be the statement of the century right there. If I'm able to say that, there are not too many other games that I've played that long where I can still say that. So,
And let me preface this by saying this. The people that say that they need a lot of stuff to do are not playing that game properly because there are side quests upon side quests upon side quests upon side quests in that game.
yep, the side quests have side quests.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I remember there was one side quest I was doing that had 8 different parts to it.
Yep.
And that was part of another side quest. So
one of them is how you get a scale. So
yeah,
which we'll talk about.
Yeah. So it's one of those games where if you're complaining about, you need to have time to, or you need a big open world, like this game actually gives you that. It actually gives you a lot of that. The thing that I enjoy about it, besides the fact that it always gives you something to do, is the variation of enemy types. There's a lot of variation of enemies. You will never get bored of things to fight.
Definitely.
Because they are many, they are varied, and they come in all shapes and sizes. And by sizes, I mean hella big.
Very big.
Yeah.
I guess that's a testament to the scale of the game too. So one of the interesting things about Xenoblade Chronicles X is the scale itself. And there were some comparisons a long time ago, and they still hold true. This game is by far one of the largest game maps I've ever seen, and it's all running in memory. So it's streaming geometry and everything as you go. There are no loads unless you do fast travel. Other than that, you can literally go from desert to volcano with several minutes of walking time and several minutes of flying time. Well, yeah, say close to about probably a half an hour of walking time, and maybe about maybe 5 minutes of flying time. This game, you will cover a lot of ground in this game. It's a very large world, and that's part of what makes the first 10 hours so long, because later on you get better modes of locomotion, but then you start to figure out that there are so many places to explore, like places that you couldn't get to previously that you have to go back to, and that adds more to the game. So do you want to go into everything that you could possibly do in this game? Because there's a collectopedia, just like there was in the first Xenoblade. There's
therein lies the problem with this game, because it is way too much to do in one sitting. So we're probably just gonna hit the highlights.
Okay, so yeah, you can collect every item in the game that's possible. You can collect every artifact in the game. You could defeat every enemy, so they show up in your gallery. That's all part of this giant collectopedia thing that's on here. And I don't even know if there's... I'm trying to figure out how to even get to it from the menu. That's hilarious.
Well, the collectopedia, it also tells you how many times you got killed by it too.
Oh yeah, it gives you all kind of different stats. And that's the other thing too. So there's a bunch of Google sites and charts and Excel spreadsheets with all the stats for everything that you find in this game. Just a Google away. All of that stuff was filled out by all the data that's already in this game. So people were going and getting killed by everything in a game, so they could write the data down as far as what resistances they have, what type of attacks they have, and how much health they have. So people were doing that until they compiled a list and got everything they needed. And there's full, complete Google spreadsheets of them. There's multiple versions of them to do all kinds of things in the game. There's crafting in the game. You can craft a lower level scale in this game. Scales are giant walking robots that you have later on in the game after a certain part of the game, and you can eventually make them fly. There are some overkill versions of those in the game. They're called the Ares variant, and they're all the way up to level 90, even though you can only be level 60 yourself. You can make a level 60 scale that is stronger than the level 90 Ares or whatever, the Ares 90. As long as you know what you're doing as far as crafting materials and whatnot. And the same thing is true of your own gear. Every boss in this game, even though it wasn't intended to be that way, everything in this game can be killed on foot. It's a daunting task, and it requires a lot of prep beforehand, sometimes a little bit of luck, like i.e. a rainstorm, and you have a buff when there's a rainstorm. That type of stuff happens, and it is very possible to take down every enemy in this game without ever stepping foot in the scale or staying in the scale. Some of them you have to fly to get to them. So,
and let me also say that, like, the thing is, Shadowfox is completely correct, but there is one thing you need to understand. Just because you walk up on a monster, if that thing is giant, it's gonna take a long time, regardless if you're not in scale.
Yep. And so
there's a difference between a regular size one and a giant one that's not a tyrant, but just a giant one.
There's a certain mission in the game where you go into these jungle hotlands for the very first time, and these jungle hotlands take you down this graded hill, and you go down this graded hill with a whole bunch of vines on it or whatever, and you go down to this little beach. And this little beach, you see there's a giant lake around this beach. I won't spoil it for anybody here, but you instinctively know what to do when something happens there. And that kind of teaches you early on the types of caution you need to have in this game. And I'll tell you right now, you're probably going to die a lot. You're going to die a lot, but you'll learn a lot as you do it. It is possible to do a playthrough through this game very quickly, and you can do it quite a bit on foot if once you know how to equip gear, what to do with gear, what to do with the resistances, and how to stack them on your gear. you can literally buy regular stuff from the shop and be kicking some serious ass in this game. It just depends on, you know, what you're doing and how you're doing it. So
it's also a good idea to like pay attention to what all the stuff you have, because one of the things that I screwed up on when I was first playing, I wasn't paying attention to the gear that I had. So yeah, just spend some time paying attention and crafting certain things, especially the I forgot what they call them, the buffs for your scales, especially.
For all the gear that you map onto your scale.
Yeah, because there's some stuff that had to do with the weather. Because you know, like when you go to Calderos, when you go to Oblivia, those fire
EX
storms, electrical storms.
Yeah,
it's a good idea to pay attention to that kind of stuff, because you may find some stuff in the first beginning of the game that you will need when you get to those areas of the game. That's like 30, 40 hours in.
Yep.
So you might not want to get rid of a lot of stuff. Just keep it. This game it pays to be a hoarder in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still trying to get rid of a whole bunch of lower level stuff that I have at end game, because I collected so much of it. I don't know what the max is. I want to guess and say around 300 items, but I'm literally like each type of item, as far as like armor and each type of material, like for how can I say this, like little items you collect, like parts of enemies and stuff like that. They all have a certain total count where you can't exceed, and I think I've hit that quite a bit. But you eventually will know, because it'll force you to either sell the item or give it away, which is kind of interesting, because that kind of lets you know that there's an online mode to this game also. 'Cause you can trade with other people. You can go online with other people and fight bosses, fight the world boss, and all those other sorts of things. And there's also downloadable content that came built into this game that Japanese users had to download first. So yeah, it's just kind of hard. It is really hard to stick on one subject when you're talking about this title. So
well, let's go into that one thing that people kind of either love, or either you love it or you hate it, depending on if you play Xenoblade Chronicles or not. And that's the story mode.
Okay. Yeah.
I personally like the story of this game. I don't see why everybody was pissed about it. Yes, I understand that, you know, you don't have a central character like Shulk. You do have one, but they make you the character. So your avatar is basically the main character, and you're a part of this team. But I thought the story was fine for what it was trying to do.
It depends on how you think about it, and kind of what you said was kind of funny, because eventually, towards the end of the game and a lot of the end game, when you start playing a lot of side quests and stuff like that, you'll realize that you are not the main character of the game.
Yeah, you're not.
It's it's a little interesting. I can't really. I don't want to give away too much, but there's a lot going on in this game, and I would say if you paid attention to certain things, regarding, say, if there were any astronomers listening to this podcast at any point in time, there are certain things that you'll notice in this game world that are very peculiar. I'll put it this way: if anybody knows what title locking is, pay attention to this game. Pay attention to the day-night system. Pay attention to the weather system, and still keep that astronomy at heart, and you'll start to understand that this planet Mirror is very weird, very, very weird. It flies in the face of physics a lot of the time, and there's a lot of landmarks in this game that are I don't know if the developers threw them there to say, hey, this is to pay homage to the original Xenoblade, or something else here. And that's another part of the story that I think may be touched on in, say, a Xenoblade Chronicles X2 at some point.
Yeah.
But the game kind of ends, I won't say I won't say it's open ended, but it definitely sets itself up for a sequel.
Can I say it's open ended? Because to me it was.
Yes, there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. Some things were answered, but in an open way where they want you to interpret it more of the themes type deal, like the nature of man and stuff like that. They didn't really close on any of that type of stuff. They kind of let you just okay, well, do these quests after you beat the game, and then you start to find out even more crazy stuff that happens as humanity learns to adapt in this new world. So I like the story. I like the fact that it started off like, hey, you're not talking. You don't have no memory.
Yep.
You barely have one by the end of the game. And few other people do have a memory other than significant people that are relative to the story. And you just have to kind of have to take all those unsolved mysteries and try to piece them together as you talk to everyone and watch cutscenes or whatnot. Then you'll start to slowly understand what's happening here. But and there's an interesting tidbit where a guy just completely takes shots at Back to the Future, and that's kind of an interesting side quest. But
I think I did that one.
Yeah, it just it's kind of weird. And if you listen to stuff that he said too, it kind of tells you a lot about the universe as well. And there are certain things that don't match up with the intro full motion video clip of this game. So I would say everybody that's beat this game, go back and look at the full motion video entrance that's also on, I guess that was part of the intro trailer for the game when they were doing the several trailers leading up to the game's release. Just kind of pay attention to those and look around and see what's happening. Then look at your environment while you're playing the game and listen to what some of the people are saying. Like it'll start telling you that a lot of things don't add up. Even though there's a bit of a conclusion towards the end of this game, towards chapter 10, I guess it's 10 chapters in the game. There's really way more than that, but that's all in-game stuff. Towards where you're supposed to be finding out the quote-unquote conclusion of the story and what's really supposed to happen, that's kind of where everything starts. And if you look at it that way, the game isn't really it is really hard for me not to spoil this game, but that kind of explains a lot about maybe the reason why they went the way they went and why there isn't a Shulk or a Milia or somebody else and they're doing all this talking and whatnot. Your character does talk, and you could even make it have the voice of the original Xenoblade characters if you wanted to, but it's not really important. The role of that person speaking during combat or whatever is just to increase the morale of the team for tension points, which, also returned from the original Xenoblade. But no, story, I'm a lot of people complained about that. I don't think too many people paid attention to what was there. And there's some kind of deep stuff there. There's some really dark stuff there as well. But there's also some silly stuff too, like a 14-year-old wanting to eat an alien for her birthday.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's really weird, extremely Japanese stuff, but I understand the humor. It just doesn't. I don't. A dude bro isn't gonna walk in on that and say, "Wow, that's great." They're gonna be like, "Okay."
Can we just give this game the award for having the most Dragon Ball Z opening ever?
Oh, they straight Dragon Ball. Straight Dragon Ball. Just
they freeze at Earth.
Yes.
Like that.
They just the whole world explodes. So for the things that aren't spoilers, yes, the Earth is destroyed.
And they show it.
Yes. And you are humanity's last hope, or so we think, fleeing from this menace, or so we think, and you crash land, or so we think, on a planet called Mira. Take that as you will.
Yeah.
That is the intro to the game.
Though I will say this, I don't know why they had to go with the LA one. Why they couldn't go with the ATL one?
I don't know. Maybe I was thinking it was more of the you know, in all jokes aside, I think it was more of the whole some of the religious themes. So maybe that's why they chose New LA instead of, because it could have been New York, it could have been DC, or you know.
Man, you know, southern cats ain't gonna die like that.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been Florida or something. That way the palm trees fit, you know.
Yeah, that would have made sense.
They naturally come from Florida anyway, and not California. So
let's keep that to ourselves. But yeah, the opening of the game was awesome. The things about the story that I actually enjoy are. Yes, it does get predictable, but that's the reason why it gets predictable to me is I watch a lot of anime, I watch a lot of movies, and I play a lot of action adventure games. So there's not too much that's going to surprise me in this. So
it's kind of up and down though. So some things are predictable, and some things are like, okay, where the hell did that come from? So it's kind of, you know, some things like what was it? Chapter 5. I guess because of the pacing, I was thrown off. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised about what happened after the fact. I was more surprised at like, okay, that was abrupt. And you know, normally something happens where, oh, well, you were almost killed, but we saved you. We got you out of here, and that doesn't really happen. So it kind of threw me off, but it was a good hard lesson to learn really quickly, and you start learning more about what's happening here on this planet. And even though, you know, some of those other things they were talking about is extremely JRPG trope, like a lot of that stuff happened in a lot of other games in different ways. The way that they introduced it, I think was kind of clever. The way they kind of made you piece things together as much as possible. There weren't too many cutscenes force feeding you what's happening. Like you really have to pay attention during missions via the voiceovers or through text. You have to pay attention or you'll miss like some key stuff. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. And yeah, some of the stuff is predictable, like we're at the end of the game and I'm gonna yell and scream about my feelings. That's going to happen. It's a Japanese RPG. Yeah.
I don't know why you got mad at that. I'm like, watch anime.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's time to save the world. People are going to talk about their feelings and they're going to do it loudly in front of the greatest threat they've ever seen.
And just be glad it didn't start naming the moves of the guns.
Yeah, that didn't. Well, actually, they do that,
but not to the level that I'm thinking.
Yeah, they didn't do it like that. But it's extremely Japanese though.
Yeah, I
mean,
there
will be
the main predictable part is you know who the bad guy is by chapter 3.
Yeah,
you already know who it is. You're like, oh, it's you. Oh, it's you.
Yep,
it is you. It's just judging by the one thing you did in chapter 3, it's you.
Yep, definitely.
If it was up to me, I would have shot you in the head right then, and we would have ended this a long time ago.
I guess they kind of made it worse because they kind of when they force you to get backstory, and then some things there's completely skippable missions regarding certain individuals in this game. And if you miss those, you miss a little bit more backstory, but they force a lot of it in front of you anyway, I guess, to make you have sympathy a little bit and not expect the quote unquote twist. To me, the twist was chapter 5. It wasn't the twist was chapter 5 or it was chapter 10. It was one of those two because 10 was probably more of a twist than 5 because 5, once you understand what happens and how people are there and stuff like that, that's extremely Japanese, but it gets into some Matrix stuff towards chapter 10. So I think that's more of the revelation. And then of course after chapter 10, that beach scene, that kind of has a throwback there that's very interesting. But there's a couple of things there that will surprise you. There's a couple of nods at Xenoblade that are really fourth wall. Like, I'm looking at the camera. Hey, don't you remember that game? Like, that kind of stuff happens, and that's really somewhat disturbing sometimes. But some of that tongue-in-cheek stuff I think is pretty cool.
That's straight from Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, just straight up, like, hey, don't you remember? And then look and wink at the screen when you do it. Like, wow, that's
y'all crazy. Wrong for that.
But I will say this though, a lot of the side missions, please play them. I am hovering over Mirror right now, and I'm looking at a structure that literally got built as I was completing the mission in bits and pieces. And when I was done, it was complete. I think that happened in the first Xenoblade. There was a mission you had to do after you beat the game, rebuilding Colony 9, like you had to rebuild. You got to rebuild Colony 9 or whatever. So there's another incident like that happens in this game, but you literally can see it get built. Like, as you're flying around or whatever, you see little pieces coming together. And once it's done, it's a complete structure or whatever, and you can go into it, and you even get a mission after you complete it. So it's interesting. It is a beautiful world. I love the water shaders in this game. I love how...
Did you say you love the water in this game?
The water shaders, yeah. The little effect, yeah. I like the little effect, and for whatever reason, that's the only thing that doesn't LOD. Like, I'm zooming in now, and I'm like, I don't... In other games, this effect would start having problems. And it doesn't... Like, I could zoom in and go as close as to the water as possible, and it just completely, it continues the simulation, and it continues reflecting light in that simulation until you get as close as possible, and it literally doesn't stop, like, all the way until you get... it looks pretty good. I would definitely say this, if there's a game that's pushing Wii U, this is one of them. And like I said, the entire world is loaded in RAM. I wish I could stream. I would stream everything right now, but I'm trying to conserve hard drive space before I move. So this is the biggest open world game I've played since probably Fallout 2. And Fallout 2 is a PC top-down RPG. Well, it's one of those type of RPGs where you have a giant map and you try to figure out where you are, and it's not in 3D space, so it doesn't really count. But you end up fighting tyrants in this game. I'm really about to go on one right now in one shot just because it's fun to do. But
you do that now. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, I could do it now.
It wasn't fun when you were 70 hours in.
No. And there is no way that no matter how good you are at the game, if you go back, like, certain things you just won't be able to do until you have a certain amount of items and a certain amount of stats. So you could probably figure it out based on certain patterns of the enemy and certain type of attacks that they do. But a lot of these ultra fauna and a lot of these tyrants. So I just killed Talon Drake, which is... There's a giant floating island. Time you leave New LA, and at nighttime, this giant dragon / centipede thing floats through the sky, and you're able to kill it in one shot. And you're able to even fight and kill it on foot. You have to fly up there and then land on the ground and piss it off so you can fight it. But you could have a long drawn out battle with it and kill it. To do that, you have to look at all the stats that enemy has, figure out how to counter them, stack all your countered effects up on your armor, and then go fight him. And know that you have to change all that crap because eventually you have to go through the rest of the game too. So every fight with a tyrant is going to be different. And especially on foot. Every fight with them is going to be different, and you're going to have to swap your gear left and right, left and right, left and right, over and over again, based on whatever their stats are. So obviously, if they do a lot of lightning, you want to do either lightning reflect, or you want to make sure that you have buffs to where you resist a lot of that lightning stuff, so that damage doesn't really occur to you like that. So that's just one of the things you have to think about. And obviously, since they're tyrants and they're tougher bosses than just regular super bosses or whatever they are in the game, instead of regular enemies, they have multiple buffs like that you have to account for. So not only are they lightning, they're lightning and physical and gravity and something else. So that's like 4 different things you have to deal with, and you only have so many slots for so many effects. So yeah, that kind of puts it in a situation where one really, really good, well-timed shot of something that you will not have a resistance for will one-shot you, and you'll be done in a heartbeat. So that's just the risk that you take when you're battling against these guys. And the best way to do it is make sure you kill them as quickly as possible, because most of the time you're not going to be able to take damage from them. So,
and it's also important to note that tyrants come in all levels. So you can fight a level 11 tyrant and still get your behind kicked.
Oh yeah, you can fight a level 3 tyrant. A level 3 tyrant and you're level 1, you're not winning. You can beat up a whole bunch of level 3s while you're level 1, and you can get away with it. Try a level 3. I think it was a giant pig. He would kick your butt real quick. You'll find out real quick at the very beginning of the game. It's almost embarrassing. And
that's another thing. When you hear about, like, pay attention to your surroundings, like we said, because they will tell you like stuff where certain tyrants show up in a rainstorm, or they show up only in the afternoon. Pay attention, because there have been times I've been in the middle of a side quest and a tyrant shows up and I die.
Yep.
Because it was raining and I wasn't paying attention. So
gotta do it.
Just make sure you pay attention. Now, before we got out here, we do have to talk about something that we found an issue with. Now, I did find one thing that I had an issue with. It wasn't a glaring issue to me, because I think it was one of those allocation of resources type deal. But the world is so big and so beautiful. But graphically in New LA and on the character models, it looks kind of PS2-ish.
Yeah, I don't.
But
I'm not sure if that was by choice though.
Yeah, that's what. But like everything else, like when you see in tyrants and everything, that looks the tyrants, the world, the scales, they all look great. But for some reason, when you zoom in, when you're walking around New LA,
yeah, and I don't know what that is. And even so, it's so weird, because in certain cutscenes, your character's face looks flat, but at any point in time, you can zoom out, turn around, and look at your character and zoom in on them, and they look highly detailed up in the face. So I don't understand. It's one of those things where I think that the level of detail system obviously has some flaws, and you could probably tell that there are pieces of the original Xenoblade engine in this game, based on just on the way like certain textures stream and stuff like that. You could tell like, oh well, why did they put this SD engine on this HD console?
Well, the fun thing that you mentioned that is because like I said, there's a few tyrants that are in Xenoblade Chronicles X that if you play Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, it's straight from there.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at one of these Rock Simiuses right now that looks like the Flaming Gonzalez from the original Xenoblade. Yeah, there's some of those there. So it definitely one of those weird little coincidences.
But that's one thing that I noticed. I'm like, it didn't bother. Like I said, it doesn't bother me because of the simple fact that, like, in relation to the world itself, because I'm not gonna lie, there is nothing more beautiful than Noctilum at night.
Oh yeah, of course.
Noctilum is off the chain at night, but so are those tyrants. But
well, I guess that's one thing we didn't talk about. How did you feel about the music though? Because I was one of the people that originally, I was hating on the music hard. I'm like, this sounds horrible. Then it got catchy.
It depends.
Then I flew in the scale for the first time.
me, I like a lot of different types of music. So the only music that was bothering me really was when you went into New LA.
Yeah, yeah.
That
what nighttime was it? Was it nighttime
yes,
or yeah?
that
Yeah, yeah.
I hated that.
That's TJ Combo soundtrack number 2.
Yeah, but when you out in the world, or like when you go into like Noxulum or Oblivia or Silvalum, and they hit you with a different type of thing, because like Silvalum has like this nice little mellow jazz beat to it. Noxulum has that like weird kind of electronica, kind of mellow electronica going through it. I mean, they made it make sense, and I was digging it, especially like the battle music too. When you fighting the remember we had to go to Oblivion and fight that rock creature?
Yeah.
That like so the music was up and down for me. Like sometimes I loved it, sometimes I was just like, man, let me put this on mute. But it just depends. And plus it also depends on the musical taste of the person that actually listened to it. Because I actually found I was actually able to acquire the soundtrack. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on there.
Quite a bit. That much I will say. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to fly to where you're first released from your little pod. I think I'm here now. I think I am. Yeah. And it's amazing because that's how big this game is. So since I'm flying around now in the scale, like locations are really hard to find. Like if you don't go to the warp point, you'll forget where you were. There was a completely different part of this game that you started in, and it's raining at night and everything, and you make your way. You walk so far to get to New LA at the beginning of this game. You have no idea until you come out to that opening, and Elma shows you around, and there's a big cutscene showing all the wildlife and everything. And
then they throw you in a boss fight.
Yeah, they throw you directly into a boss fight. then I come back and look just to go see my different just to go see where I just came from. And I wonder if it's trying to tell me something about the story, because as I'm looking at my life pod, it's the only one here. And now that I've beaten the game, is guarded by level 54 tyrants. So I wonder, I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean, but I'm just trying to figure out why they showed up here. I'm obviously about to own both of them right now, but with one shot probably. Yeah, they're dead. But yeah, it's just weird, because just little touches like that, you're like, wait, why would they put those there? Because I just flew back all the way back to that area. And since that's the beginning of the game, everything's like level 2, level 3, level 1, or whatever. And
right when
I fly all the way back to where Elma came and got me. And right there in that area there's just some tyrants sitting right there, like giant robots just sitting there waiting. And little things like that, I'm like, okay, that was done on purpose, and it was done at a certain part of the game. Why? And those are the type of things, like when I say the story is kind of like it's written, but it's not written there. And that's one of the beautiful things about video games too. You can tell something without saying anything. So that's kind of like more of what I was noticing as well from a lot of this game. So I just flew back to the very beginning of this game, and I almost flew past it because this world is so big and I'm flying so high in the sky that, you know, everything looks small until I zoom all the way in on it. And I'm able to fly within about 30 seconds to what took me almost 20 minutes to walk to at the very beginning of the game. So yeah, it's a big title. So the gameplay and the combat, how did you feel about that? Because that was that was one of the biggest departures from the original Xenoblade.
Well, I was used to Xenoblade, so it didn't bother me none.
Yeah, I was used to it, but I guess once I realized that it wasn't Xenoblade, and I started seeing there were certain things that needed to be keyed up on. Like there weren't going to be any unity attacks or anything like that. Like everybody has their own set of rules that they do, and you have to constantly keep them motivated in different ways, different from Xenoblade. Like Xenoblade has certain segments where, hey, I need help over here, press B, or that kind of thing happened where you had to pay attention to. This one has different types of assists that you can set yourself, or they're completely different per character that you have in your team. And based on what you do when they ask for help or they want you to do a certain thing, it gives you a certain buff during combat. That doesn't become important later on in the game once you start learning about overdrive and stuff like that. But before you get overdrive in this game, it is critical. At first, when you're not able to modify your equipment or anything like that, it is a critical thing. And it's just amazing that something that deep, because it's way deeper than it was in the original Xenoblade, it's almost something that's forgotten about by the end game. Like you don't even really pay attention to it anymore, other than the fact that, hey, it's on the character screen whenever you press start or whatever.
Actually, I kind of pay attention to it because I kind of need it for like when I'm doing stuff with like Elma and Lynn. Now, the fourth person that I usually because I usually rotate out the fourth person anyway. I don't really care for my soul voice on them people, but I always made sure to pay attention because there's a couple of them that actually helped me out, especially against those scale Omevas.
Yeah, it was critical for me until I got my scale. When I got my first scale, it was critical to me because at some point, depending on what class you pick, the average person, if you're the average gamer, chances are you're not going to start the game as a healer. You're going to start the game as, a warrior or a gunner or something like that or whatever. And you have to figure out how you're going to play this game and heal. Because you really don't have that ability for quite a bit of the first part of the game until you figure out how some of these assists work. So it was critical for me all the way up until I got my first scale and I started adding some other people to my party. But, after that, it became almost irrelevant to me, especially once I was able to master overdrive. Once I was able to master overdrive, it didn't really matter because I was getting health as I was in overdrive. So,
and that's the other thing. Like once you get overdrive, do whatever you can to keep it.
Yep. Yep.
It makes fights a hell of a lot easier.
Yep. If you can max stats for overdrive, you are having a good time. Whether it's for scales or for yourself on foot, you're having a good time.
Oh yeah, we did forget to do one thing though. We did forget to caution people that sometimes two tyrants will join in a fight.
Anything will join in a fight. Like
your best bet is to make them fight each other, which I do to perfection.
See, the thing is, so all the creatures in the game are attracted by different things, either by sight or by sound or because their buddies nearby or any amount of things. So you could start a fight. You're like, hey, I'm preparing to fight this dude. He's like maybe 2 levels above me, but I got my party of 4. We can jump him. You go over there and you start the fight or whatever. You're about to win the fight. You got a couple of hits left. And a level 70 tyrant just decides to walk right over and say, hey, what are you guys doing? And you're like level 20. It's one of them.
And you just won.
That's one of the I guess the brilliant and not so brilliant things about this game. I think it's hilarious actually because it creates scenarios where you literally panic because you're just like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
And you try to run and it still don't work.
Yep.
I've had that happen where I was in the middle of a quest beat the guy I'm supposed to beat, and a level 92 Simian Tyrant shows up.
Oh yeah,
I'm at level 30.
But it's okay though. When you get your scale super weapon, you just go back to him and remember that. You go back and you say, hey, man, I remember all the times you jumped in my fight and beat me up, man. I don't appreciate that. So I'm coming back to get you for that.
Oh, and this game will make you do that. This game will make you think of vengeance. This game will make you think of nothing but vengeance. I mean, as soon as I hit level 50, oh, dude, I went on the warpath.
All you level 40s that gave me a hard time, you're getting a piece.
Yeah, I'm like, I would go to stuff just to piss them off. They'd be sitting down minding their own business eating. I'm shooting them in the head.
Of course.
Come on and fight. You was hard 100 hours ago. Come on and fight.
Exactly.
Come down here and get some of this. So that is one game. I thought Monster Hunter was the only game that'd do that to me. Nope, Xenoblade Chronicles X did that. It made me go on a terrible swath of vengeance where I left bloody hell all over their mirror before I finished the game.
So one of the things we forgot to talk about was the Wii U gamepad. So this game is one of the few games that supports it supports the Wii U gamepad and also supports the Wii U Pro controller. And by that I mean it supports the Wii U Pro controller, and you can switch between the Pro controller and the Wii U gamepad at any time. There are quite a few Wii U games out for whatever reason. They weren't programmed that way. So you either have to exit the game or you have to turn the Wii U gamepad off somehow. I guess remove the battery or wait till the battery dies or whatever, and then you can use the Wii U Pro controller. And I find that decision kind of odd. I don't know if that was a pre-software patch kind of thing or pre-firmware patch kind of thing that a lot of games had where they weren't taking into account for hot swapping between controllers. But I do like that that's in this game because I want to say the vast majority of the story mode of this game I played with the Pro controller. And in the ideal situation is playing this game with both screens and a Pro controller, because a lot of the time you're dealing with the map, moving to different locations, managing materials on here. There's different types of currency in this game. Some by gems called Moranium and credits and reward tickets, all that kind of stuff that you have in this game. You can manage. You have a map. You can set waypoints, which is one of the great things about it. You don't have to worry about a crap load of overlays on your screen or whatever. And so what I would do is I would have my Wii U gamepad sitting on my coffee table in my man cave. I would sit down on the couch in front of it. I would have my Wii U Pro controller, and I will be playing the game on the TV. So I'm playing a game on the TV or whatever. Anytime I need to do anything as far as a map or whatever, I have the Wii U gamepad in front of me, and I literally would have the stylus out and I draw where I need to go or whatever, and I would manage everything there. If I'm playing online, I could see my scout rewards, division spoils, and all that kind of stuff, or whether the nemesis was online so I can go fight him. So all that stuff was there on the touchpad for me because I wasn't actually playing with the touchpad. So I was able to kind of like dual focus, if you get what I mean. And that was kind of good. And whenever I wanted to stop playing with that or the Wii U Pro controller died or whatever, I could pick up the gamepad. Usually the gamepad would die before my Wii U Pro controller, but I would always switch. So it was pretty good to be able to do that. And that was...
I will say this. I played this game like I played Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD. I set my gamepad to the side, put up the Pro controller, and I did whatever movement I need to do.
Yep.
Like it was a console on a spaceship.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's a good thing I did like about this game, and it also obviously just like all the other games, it supports all TV play. So if I wanted to play this game, say if I was doing just some regular grinding or whatever, and I know that's gonna take a long time, and I'm not trying to steal time away from the significant other, she can force me to watch Real Housewives of Atlanta or whatever while I sit there and toil away at it. So
Real Housewives.
yeah, it's just. it is what it is, married life. I mean,
Yeah.
but it is just one of those things where I look at everybody getting excited about the Nintendo Switch, and all I can do is grin because I'm like, I'm essentially getting the same thing twice, but it's great for me.
No,
Personally,
no.
I missed the
I see
dual
everybody
screen.
getting happy, but I'm getting mad because I'm gonna miss my gamepad.
Yeah, I want my dual screen. I like my dual
Yeah,
screen. I'm kind of hoping when if they do come out with this supplemental computing device that it's a standalone box, and if that in that case you could they could bring back some of the dual screen stuff. That would
yeah,
be
sure.
cool, but we shall see. But anyways, yeah, the gamepad stuff is pretty good in this game. This is everything you wish you had in an RPG, like say Fallout or The Witcher. Maybe they should have been on this platform. Just saying. But yeah, managing your map, you can see the percentage of completion you have for each area. I'm not going to be a complete a 100% type guy. I'm currently at 78.30% or something like that. But I have 100% in the Blade Barracks, which has all of one place to survey. So yay me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like this. You can see the status of everything that you found in every continent, the 5 continents in the game. Um, yeah, it's just one of those cool things. Just all the information that you need is right here, and it's pretty accessible. It was almost like they built the a Xenoblade Chronicles X app and put it right here on your Wii U gamepad. At some point, I'm wondering if that may be the alternative for RPGs going forward on a lot of these consoles, but we shall see on that as well, I guess.
yeah.
But yeah, I have no problems with the controls or the fight system. Once I adjusted to it, I had a blast. Like I liked mastering Xenoblade's fight system, but once you figured out that evasion makes you unhittable, um, the battles weren't that fun to me anymore. And so you could spam that game by making all effects spike the enemy, and then you instant kill just about everything, or you can just have 99 evasion and you're able. It doesn't matter. You just take your sweet time welling away at whatever's fighting you, and that kind of made the game kind of boring for me. But in this game, yes, you could be completely overpowered and you can have infinite overdrive and one hit kill something, but then something else could jump right in front of you, and yeah, you could beat it and you could do the same thing, but you got to go through menus. You got to go get new equipment and start all over again because it's got a completely different set of stats.
Yep.
Whereas in the original Xenoblade, like whatever your buffed up stats were, short of maybe 2 or 3 special missions after you beat the game, and we're talking about level 120 bosses or whatever, you don't need to change anything that you have for the rest of the game for the most part. This game you have to do it quite a bit. So because it's based on what you're fighting, unless you're in scales, and even in scales when you're fighting the tyrants or the world bosses or whatever, you still need to change your gear for those too. So I like that they force you to do that type of thing, so you can experiment more with the game and learn more about the battle system. I thought that was amazing to me, and finding legendary rare weapons that are really really hard to find and a lot of grinding to get is. I felt at the time in 2015 was worth it. Maybe not so much right now because I have less time than I did then. But yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool being able to jump on top of an alien spaceship and basically just jump all the way down into a swimming pool in the town below. I'll let you guys figure that out. When you play the game, you'll be able to do it. It's the fact that I'm telling you, this game it's so huge. Some of the dumb things you're able to do it's just amazing.
Yeah, I got to give it to Monolith. Monolith did an excellent job on this game. So, yeah, this is one of those games that I would say if you have a Wii U and you are actually into RPGs, this should be in your gaming library.
Definitely.
This should be in your gaming library, and it's gonna take you a while. I mean, it took me a while to get through, and I'm still playing it because once you beat the game, you really hadn't done crap. So that's what you
Yeah.
realize.
Oh, also the scales have neon lights that only glow when it turns nighttime.
Yeah, which is
And
actually cool until you fight Telethia. But
oh yeah.
but yeah, it's a fun game. It does take a while. It's easy to pick up, but you have to you have to learn about it to master it, and that's the thing. A lot of people that I noticed that were giving it that was giving it the haterade was because they weren't paying attention to it. Um, a lot of stuff in this game you have to pay attention, or you're just gonna get beat, or you're gonna get frustrated. And it's easy to get frustrated when you're playing a game and all of a sudden you didn't realize that, but due to the time of day that you're trying to finish this particular quest, another time is going to show up in the middle of a quest you're doing. It's one of those situations where you have to pay attention. But yes, this game, if you have a Wii U and you are into JRPGs or open world type games, this is a good one to have in your collection because it will take you a lot of time to actually beat it. I don't know of anybody that has put less than 100 hours in it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know of anybody who has.
I think
I'm pretty sure there's somebody who has, but I don't know them.
The person that beat the game in about 40 hours didn't really have fun. Like if they beat the game in 40 hours and didn't play anymore, they didn't have fun.
Well, and on top of that, there's no way in the world. I know at the end of the game, if they beat it in 40 hours, they died a hell of a lot.
Yep.
Because there is no way.
They forced themselves through everything.
Yeah. So that being said, that's going to be it for this Way Too Late review. I got a couple more I got planned for later dates. So Shadow, thanks for joining me on this one. Probably had to get you on another one. I got an idea for another one.
Okay, not a problem. Not a problem. We can always re-review Xenoblade Chronicles X over and over again since there's oh my god, this could be like an 8-hour conversation if we wanted it to be, but then people be sleep. So.
Yeah, yeah, that would actually happen. But thanks you guys for joining. I will be seeing you guys on the next vid. Peace out, peeps.
Later.
Now sit back and watch while I burn the humans come alive!